Welcome to Strength in the Numbers. My name is Andrew Codd, accountant, author, and commercial finance entrepreneur, and it's my job each week to bring you leaders in finance and business and deconstruct with them their real stories, insights, and hard-won lessons into practical advice on the key strengths and qualities you need to remain relevant in accounting and finance today, as well as the steps you can begin to take to elevate the impact you make to have a fun, successful, and rewarding career in accounting and finance. Now let's go over to the show. Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's Strength in the Numbers show. Now, how seriously do you take your financial data management? Because with some sources comparing good quality data to the new oil that's powering better decisions in our organisations today, then I guess it's probably important as finance professionals we also know how to better manage and optimise our own data. So that's what today's guest mentor Irina Steenbeek and I go into and deconstruct a number of steps on how we can improve how we do this, and also discuss the idea of data lineage. And Irina then delves in deeper into what's known, she calls the information value chain concept, and the importance of optimizing this. Also, two reasons why finance professionals were ideally placed to improve data quality, and why some data elements are more critical than others and how we can identify them. So look, if you enjoyed this episode, please check out our timestamp show notes, the key quotes, resources and ways to connect with Irina, and more at sitn.com/podcast/122. And we also really appreciate you referring and recommending us to your friends and colleagues who you might feel could benefit from these key topics and key practical approaches to deconstructing them and being successful at them in finance, so we all become more influential and solve meaningful problems for our organisations. So really appreciate you investing your time with us today. That's enough for me for now. Over to Irina and the show.
Yeah, it would be nice. Sometimes it's very difficult to make it short, but I will do my best. Let's start where I am now. Now I'm finally at two positions. First of all, I work for a large international bank in the Netherlands, and my key focus is a global integration project, which aims to integrate risk and financial reporting. And my core competence there is finance data models and data lineage. And we might come back later what data lineage means. And at the same time, I have my own company with also focusing on implementation of data management for medium-sized enterprises. But be honest, my way to current position was not straightforward. I started my professional career as a civil engineer and obtained PhD in this area. Later on, I moved to finance, and I got experience in three different levels of finance. First of all, it's strategic level of finance, meaning focus on business and financial strategy. I got this experience working by the World Bank International Finance Corporation division. Later, I dived into operational finance process, meaning that I implemented two different ERP systems as a project manager, as a consultant. And I, finalized my financial career getting CIMA certificate and working as a business controller. And finally, all of these three areas brought me finally to data and data management, with focus on financial data.
Like in terms of getting to data, how did that, when did you realize that it was all about the data, or that data was where you needed to move towards? When did that realization come?
This realization was very interesting. I joined a small bank and I got a position of management information system officer with one goal to optimize management accounting systems. And at some point we got to the situation, we did realize there are different reporting platforms for finance and risk, and our reports were never reconcilable. And the management came to the decision to implement a data warehouse and BI solution for banking. And at some point, one consultant came across and said, I have heard there is data management. I have no idea what does it mean. Maybe you will search. So at the point I started Googling. And this is already for 9 years as I do data management. with focus on finance data. Of course, the question, what is the finance data, for me is 80% of data which is circulating in any company. And the deeper I go into understanding of business processes within the company, the more I'm convinced that data is a real source and blood of any business operation within the company. I can provide you a very simple example. Just now, people.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Now, people speak a lot about driver-based planning. And of course, driver-based planning, you make you use it for deriving your KPIs. Yeah, but if you take a look at the situation or picture from the data point of view, KPIs, it's your data, your derived data, and your business drivers, it's also data. So finally, the question how these business drivers make impact on your KPIs, as for me, it's part of data management, of data lineage, what I was talking about, because you need to know which drivers made impact on your P&L or your balance sheet. And this is exactly what data lineage goes about, to know what is your data, where data come from, and how it's transformed on its way from the origin to the end user.
Yeah, data lineage. You saved me having to ask and define what is data lineage. So are some data more important than others then in terms of a lineage perspective? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, it's true. Because if you take a look at the number of data elements which are circulating in the company, or even data elements which are in your reports in huge amount. So finally, we use the concept of critical data elements, and it means this data elements of KPIs, of metrics, they make the biggest impact on your company profitability or on your company compliance from the regulation point of view. And then in such a way, you really narrow all of your attempts to improve your financial reporting. And as a tooling, you use data lineage to do it.
Yeah. No, definitely. I can sort of see some being more important than others, and that makes complete sense, Irina. So, I guess from finance teams, we have great visibility across organizations. We also have access to a lot of data. What things could we be doing to improve our data management in your mind? What steps could we be taking?
The first step you should take, and I did write a lot about in articles, to become a data management initiative sponsor, because from my point of view, the finance is the key user of data in the company, and they use the data the most. And very often finance even feel themselves responsible for the data they're dealing with, but it's not true. Finance is not responsible, finance is using data, but they can motivate people and initiate data management programs within their companies to really align information requirements with data requirements. For me, it's very simple. Let's take a look what is key value proposition of finance. Yeah, key value proposition of finance is simply enhanced decision making. Yeah, that's all, nothing else. And usually people doing it with the help of information. And role of finance here is simply in the middle. They need to get proper data. They need to let this data be produced in information, and their role to make insight in this information and provide management at different levels with their advices. Yeah, this is the way how I see. So finally, if you take a look in decision making, to ensure correct decision making, you need to have correct information at right place and to deliver to the right person. And therefore, you need to simply get right data. And this is some very lean chain which you need to build. And the role of data management to build this chain, which we name information value chain. So finally, in this respect, concept of data management and data delivery, it's fully reconcilable with concept of role of finance.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that expression before, information value chain. That's fascinating for me because we think of value chains, generally speaking, in a product business as moving some physical product or a service, people handling it at various parts of the value chain. But information, that's like intangible, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, what does that look like for us trying to get familiar with it? What does that look like, the information value chain?
Let's make, first of all, strategic view on information value chain. As I already said, the role of finance to enhance decision-making within the company. And this is also the key value which data management delivers. Yeah, it's very interesting. So it looks like that management in different levels in the company need to make correct and right decisions. Therefore, they need to get information. And to get this information, in the beginning, the data has to come into company and it's need to be processed. And the way of data processing, of transformation, it's what I go about. And as I came back to data lineage concept, it means that you need to know which decision making you are going to make, which information you need to have for this decision making, and which data you need to get and how to process the data to derive the correct information. That's very, very simple way.
As you were describing that, what jumped into my mind was this sort of image from like Lean Six Sigma, which is, suppliers input process.
Yeah, fully agree. Yeah, because, customers. From my point of view, the implementation of data management framework in each company, it simply goes about optimization of data and information value chain, nothing else. Everything what you are doing around optimizing your application landscape, escaping from legacy systems, or creating new reports, everything goes into this concept.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, look, that makes really great sense. And I love the way you lined it up as an information value chain. And I think you were sort of mentioning previously you've written a book in this area, is that right?
Finally, two. The first was published, 8 months ago, but it was very short example what are the main steps to set up information value chain. And this book had the name of the Data Management Cookbook. And I was very much curious because last time it's really become the selling at Amazon. But the new book, which I wrote just now, will be published at Amazon as well, but it's really another level of the book. It goes exactly about methodology, how to do it. Because, what I learned from my experience, people prefer to know how to do things and not what to do, yeah? And I know I did a lot different workshops with business stakeholders, finance people. Always when I came with speech, what you need to do, the only one question was how I'm going to do it. So finally, I took this focus in my new book. And this is very simple book with templates and with steps description, what people need to do, data into control.
Oh, fantastic. And do you have a working title for that? So we can put it with the show notes?
Just now it's named the Data Management Toolkit. And I'm thinking maybe adding it how to build your information value chain.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's really great you mentioned it on the show, because what a lot of our audience like is how the guest mentors come on and help deconstruct into practical terms steps they can follow in terms of understanding their area even better, so we can go and become more influential and help in solving meaningful problems for our organization. So in terms of that value chain, without giving the too much away from your book, what would be some good practical steps that as in finance we can start doing to in effect be better at our information value chain?
I can name several case steps, as I said already. First step is become a data management initiative sponsor. Of course, it's a role of CFO maybe to start promoting this idea, and then look for the team which might do it. Some companies already, especially large companies here in Europe, already have data management teams, which do a lot of good job, but as also what I'm knowing that small companies or medium companies don't have such function at all. So for many companies, and what is interesting, I speak very often to financial professionals, and they say, yeah, data quality, one of our greatest issues. But my question, what are you going to do with it? Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Step number one, become sponsor, promote this idea. Step two, find good people which have some knowledge in data management. It's also point, there are a lot of professionals in data management. They came from finance, they came from audit, they came from IT. And for those audience is my new book, because I also was in such situation 9 years ago. So the step number 3, don't wait until somebody starts doing something, because there are plenty of job to do in optimizing your reporting. Because I know for sure the finance delivers huge amount of reports. Question number 1, which information management really needs for decision making?
Oh, so true. Yeah.
It's question number 1, because I have seen huge number of reports. Very, very often in this huge number of reports, there is no possibility to reconcile data from finance, risk, and business. I experienced. Another funny stuff which I also saw in my practice, there are some reports, because you start from one report and you would like to know how data comes from report to report to report, and you end up in the same report. Yeah. So finally, no, it's true. It's not joke. It's what I did experience. Or my advice: first of all, start checking what people really need, and what you deliver. And this is first way of optimization. And that was a great question of you, how we can narrow our focus. And we narrow our focus on the key KPIs, or what I name as critical data elements, or finally the information which is really needed for the whole company. And then when you do it, it's time to start building or checking of optimizing your information value chain. So go back and to check where data come from, in what transformation data undergoes. Because I can provide a very simple example. Once I made investigation of all reporting by the medium small company, I did find 2 kinds of problems. Problem number 1, the same definitions of different KPIs, for example, but they are absolutely built up differently. So formulas behind are different. Yeah. So you got the same name of the feature and you see there's different figures. It's point number 1. Point number 2, there are different KPIs, but they calculated the same way. So you're curious, why do I have the same figure? And this is one of the key starting point for financial people. So finally, there are few steps: initiate sponsor program, start searching for the proper stuff, start optimizing your reporting, and you do it by analyzing which really information needs your management has, and then come back to key financial elements which you need to cover, and then start checking up or optimizing your information value chain. That's all. And point number 6 is data quality, yeah, because everybody just now keep themselves busy with data quality. But without optimizing value chain, you can't do anything with data quality. For me, data quality can be done only when you know how your data is processed and where it comes from and what does it mean. Yeah, 3 key questions. What does data means, where it comes from, and how it's transformed.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I think it's rather than people are too quick to try and blame data quality or go to data quality, really needs to understand the end-to-end value information chain and then optimize it so that then the quality should improve over time.
Yeah, but
that would be my sense.
But in data quality, there are a lot of big potentials for financial people, because what I know from my experience now, there are 2 points. First of all, a lot of financial staff make error corrections in Excel, data error corrections, which is absolutely not their work. And of course, it makes enormous influence on quality of their work and what they're doing. So finally, to improve their work and motivate them to do a higher level of work, the data management issues data quality issues needs to be resolved. This point number one. And I see the really high motivation for financial people do it. And the second one, financial people very often feel themselves responsible for the data, and it's not true. So finally, for them, it's also, it will give sufficiently more opportunities in their daily work if they will data management professional, let's do their job, and then simply focus on analyzing data, on delivery some advices at different levels, and then we come to discussion about the new role of finance people, and we come to discussion about partnering with the people, and then you have done.
That I like the way you laid that out. I think all of us should be aspiring to that journey, and it would then mean that we are probably engaging in more valuable work. And at the end of the day, as you said, Irina, you know, the aim of finance should be to help better decision making. So that's what drives the results, right? Drives the numbers.
Yeah.
So
as soon as finance will be able exactly concentrate on insight of the data, it will bring them to the new role within the organization. It will give them sufficiently more opportunity, and their position with the company will be changed.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think this is part of, I keep saying we have a finance image problem sometimes. It's that we're probably spending so much time going into the comfort zone of trying to get data right and correcting errors and improving that type of quality, when really you should be focusing on getting the insights right and optimizing the information value chain behind that, rather than just tackling it at the edges. It needs to be a more holistic end-to-end approach. I completely agree. So look, that's amazing advice, Irina. Thanks for laying it out for us. I suppose stepping it up a bit, what's been the best bit of advice you've ever received?
There are two. And I got this advice many years ago when I was busy with my PhD. Finally, it goes about how to start do new things, and point two, how to end up with results. Because when I started writing my PhD, I got a book, How to Write PhD. I never read further than the first page, because at the first page it was said, if you'd like to finalize your PhD, every morning you need to go to and sit at the table and start doing job. Several years later, when I was about finalizing my PhD, my consultant said to me, you know, in order to get a PhD, at some point you need to start finalizing it. So it's my advice. I follow this advice all my life. If you'd like to start new things, start doing, start doing it on a regular basis. But at some point, you need to deliver results. So concentrate on your results. This is advice which I really appreciated all my life.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice, and two parts to it. Then that's pretty great advice. I suppose then in terms of yourself, would there be any resources that you'd recommend our listeners go check out?
Much. If you're talking about professional stuff, what I'm really doing last time, I go through LinkedIn, I read a lot of information there. I think it's one of the best ways. Regarding the books, maybe not, because there are different interests of our audience.
Yes.
That's why, I can't send them to read a huge international standards, which I'm doing myself. Therefore, I wrote my book because, when I get standards about 900 pages, I don't think many people would do it.
Yeah, and it was like one of those tasks. I don't know about our listeners, but I did it once, memorized a bit of it. I don't really feel like doing it again. It's one of those, so probably best not to recommend those.
No.
But good to know, and I think I will put the links to your book, your first book and the second one. Then when it comes on, I can put the link into the show notes as well.
Thanks.
So I think, our audience should definitely check those out. And I suppose in terms of if they wish to continue the conversation, Irina, what's the best way they can connect with you?
They simply can write me at LinkedIn, at my profile, but I also have my site, which is www.datacrossroads.nl.
Brilliant. And I will put that into show notes as well. Really, really enjoyed our conversation, Irina. Before we wrap up, any parting thoughts for our listeners today?
Practical thoughts, dare to wish and dare to do. It's what I exactly always advise some younger people. If you want something, simply start doing it. And, you sometimes need to have courage to start wishing.
Yes. Yeah. I you know what, that's it, to start wishing and actually give ourselves maybe credit for dreaming a bit bigger as well, the courage to think a bit bigger, and not undersell ourselves. So look, no, I love that bit of advice. I am smiling because I could take a dose of it myself.
Okay.
So I think that's practical, not just for young people, but for people who are moving on as well. And look, Irina, thanks for all your great insights. Also taking us through what data lineage is, the insights into data management and how to do that properly with the information value chain. And also, if people are starting out on activities, to get going, but also remember at the end of the day, we have to deliver a result. So fantastic advice, and just want to sort of say thanks for investing your time with us and coming on the show today.
And thanks a lot, because I really enjoyed your questions. They're really to the point, and I enjoyed answering and thinking how to answer on it.
So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to know more about our guests today, their bio, and follow up on the resources mentioned during the show, you can find all the relevant links and more at sitnshow.com. There you'll also be able to get access to earlier shows, read the latest blogs. There's also an opportunity to subscribe to our newsletter, which will give you heads up as to when the next show is coming out, latest events, news, and anything that's going to be relevant to help you have a fun, rewarding and successful career in finance and accounting. And just before you go, we really appreciate your feedback. If there's something we can do better on the show, something that's not working, or something you'd like to see, even a guest you'd like for us to invite onto the show, someone who you think might be able to benefit you more and also the rest of our community, please let me know. You can email me. I'm at andrew@sitnshow.com, or feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Just drop me a message so I know how you found me and we can connect. And really, it's our community that'll make the show. If we keep engaging and driving each other on, we'll keep on building our strength in the numbers. When all is said and done, if we can do the numbers better and finance better, we'll create more opportunities for ourselves, our friends, our families, our communities and our businesses. So until next time, have a good rest of the week, take care, and let's keep building our strength in the numbers.